yes, I was at the saw cutting the groove for the blade, and then I moved over to the table saw to give us some clearance to work with and use the offcut here for the next thing in our fixture. 40-degree groove. This is adjusted so we have 100% contact between the blade and the support surface here. I do not have a whetstone. I have an oil stone. For demonstration purposes, I think this will work. And when we look at the blades under the microscope later, we'll see how it turned out, okay? What I liked about this is simply I can use the entire surface of the stone. I can flip the stone. I do have a whetstone on order. Things during this virus taking longer than it should. Anyway, I did make the used edge red. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, pretty good contact, okay? And I'll do this until I get a burr. I'm going to touch up the good side, and we'll throw them under the microscope. We'll see how the edges look. Come hell or high water, that planer's going back together. It has task to do. Put this to work. All right, it's report card time. How'd we do? All right, let's check this out. This is the original factory edge that was unused. I did touch it up a bit. I would say overall it's sharper. It feels sharper. The chunked out areas that were on the blades, I'm pretty sure those were mishandling from the unused side. Take a look at the side we sharpened that was used. It feels sharp. I could order some of that special tape and do a sharpness test, but I think for the planer, the proof is in the planing. And that's blade number one. You may see some microfibers on here just because the cloth left it. A decent edge though. Again, this on this blade I just put up the second blade. This is the original factory edge. I would say it's sharper, and mind you, I used the 320 oil stone, and if I ever do this again, I have a 5,000, 8,000 grit wet stone that I plan on using for knives. And I will do some similar experiments and look at the before and after under magnification here. I do have another type of scope. Let's get the third blade here. It's a what is called a dynoscope. Hooks up to the computer. And along the edge there, that is fibers from the cloths I had them wrapped up in. Ideally, I won't muck it up either with handling damage. I think in my one-man operation here I can avoid that. So the sharpening was done in that fixture, and it seemed to turn out okay for what I did. The boards were as flat as I could find, joint, and I checked them actually on a surface plate. I didn't show that. I don't want everybody to think I'm like over the top crazy woodworking. Yes, I know this is woodworking, it's not rocket science, but sometimes it's good to get into the details just so you can see what's going on, right? I mean, it's easy to guess, but once you see how something works or you see the details, then from that point you don't have to go through these steps. You can look at the parts coming out of the planer and you know, okay, the planer's trunked out there, the new factory edge may need sharpening. I'll try something different next time. These blades, 40-degree angle, made in Shenzhen, China. Supposed to be high-speed steel, according to the analysis and internet checking I did. High-speed steel, there's a lot of ways to bake a cake, right? Just because you say you have, molybdenum, chromium, magnesium, all in these amounts, it qualifies as high-speed steel. The processing, the heat treating is a key point here. The fact that the blades are 1.5 millimeters thick by 12 millimeters. I did look around. There is a good Grizzly planer. It's their lower price model, around $600-700, I believe. That baby has 1/8-inch thick blades. I should have been a patient man and ordered it and got that. Lessons learned. I will make the best out of this. My main gripe, remember from the first video about the planer, had to do with it being out of parallel. Taking the knives out was another step, and while we're in here, we might as well make things as best as possible. Okay, that wraps. So we're back here at the planer, the Delta model 22590X. 10,000 RPMs per minute, 15 amp motor, and my beef about this was that it was cutting out of parallel. This side here has about 20 thousandths more of a gap than the other side. Looking at the machine construction, you have sealed bearings on each end of the shaft. Good. The construction of the frame from this column to the other guide column is one piece aluminum casting on both sides, which is good. Required some careful precision machining, as these are opposite axes. These are machined on an opposite axis of that. Nowadays, that's no problem to get that done. One thing that was a surprise and disappointment was what's going on here. You see the wear in the shaft? Let me get my big fingers in there and block the light. I think you can see that. You have these vertical, basically wear marks. Again, I have used this on 2 occasions, and probably a total of maybe 4 hours. And I did have it open. I was machining some pine for railings for my deck. I quarter saw them, and then I turned them and laminated and glued them and made them more stable, and they look good. Anyway, take a look down inside of here. You see the casting around the shaft. There's no seal, there's no bushing, nothing. See what you got going on is this shaft is riding directly on the steel. Aluminum casting coupled with some sawdust and debris gets to slide up inside of there and score it, and it will eventually wear out, causing the whole unit to flip-flop. What do I think of this overall? It's a little disappointing, but it's not surprising. This, you see the light distortion when I push that down? So this has a huge amount of deflection, and this, which would be considered in any other machining application a rigid platen, hardly the case here. I mean, what are you expecting for $600-700 US? I expect more. I have purchased an old lunchbox Powermatic. It needs a hell of a lot of work. I'm going to rebuild that. Anyway, let's get the blades back in here, and I will fire it up, and that will be the final phase. not bad at all. I think I'll just have to avoid the knots. That's such a waste though, because some knots are tight and they're good looking, but hey, live and learn about woodworking. And definitely the oak, she's a tough one. All right, looks like it was a success. That was cut with the resharpened edge. And why would I go through all this commotion? Well, it's like this. Because I could. I know I could went on Amazon, 25 bucks, roughly, 8 bucks a blade, 2 cutting edges per blade. Got a replacement. If you were doing this professionally, it would be idiotic to sharpen these unless you had a fixture and a methodology for doing it quickly. Now I do have the fixture already made over here. Just a couple things on that. Definitely put some sort of a wear indicator here. Either make this out of UHMW, maybe with some grooves in it, and as the groove wore away, you would know the UHMW was wore down. Or something more simple, put some masking tape on there. Masking tape wears through. You know you're changing the angle. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's lots of different ways to go about doing this. I hope you found this fun, maybe interesting, a little bit challenging, but I thought it was a little too tedious for getting a fresh edge on some blades. But hey, that's just me. All right, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. And if you have any suggestions for any other content coming up, I look forward to hearing from you. I do have a Delta Unisaw. It's a cabinet saw that needs rebuilding. And why don't we do that together? And I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback and your ideas for some other stuff to do. All right. Hey, see you later.